I don't know. It's probably gonna crash. Because everything here is like going so slow. It's probably gonna crash. Wait, what? Twilight Forest? Twilight Forest? I never seen Twilight Forest come up. Oh my god. Okay. Oh my god. I'm now so confused. I just got this to run, actually. I don't know what's gonna happen. Is it gonna crash? Like, even my recording software is going weird. It's like skipping some. It's like going faster than usual. It's like 59, 60, 1 minute, and then 1 minute 2, 1 minute 11, 1 minute 5. And then, yeah, that's what it's doing for me. Am I recording ore spawn? Oh no, I hate ore spawn. I hate it. It's scary. I hate it. Oh, I guess it's time to try. See, Minecraft with a lot of odds. Oh. What? Ah. Allow access. Come on. Allow access. Okay, I'm allowing it to have access to something. I don't know. Uh-oh. I'm just gonna watch. Oh no.
When you're in the middle of nowhere, it can be really unsettling to discover something strange and out of place. That's exactly what the people in this video had to contend with. An air of mystery surrounding random things in random places. Amazing!
Still frozen.
Number 10. Richard III found. So where do you expect to find Richard III, King of England, centuries after his death? In an English countryside abbey graveyard? Maybe a tomb? Nope, in a Leicester car park. Richard III was the last English king to die in battle in 1485 in the Battle of Bosworth Field, so his body is of strong historical significance. Surviving legal papers show that he was transported to Leicester, giving people somewhere to start. In 2012, the ruins were still at large until historian Philippa Langley and the Richard III Society began an archaeological study on a car park that seemed the likeliest location. Philippa Langley famously said, "The first time I stood in that car park, the strangest feeling just washed over me. I thought, I am standing on Richard's grave." They found church foundations and a complete skeleton with wounds matching Richard's, later proved through DNA matching to indeed be Richard III, all because of a hunch. Number 9. Mysterious desert structures. Since Google Maps was released, a breed of new explorers was born, digital explorers. These individuals combed maps on Google Maps in search of mysterious structures, strange landmarks, and generally weird stuff.
It's doing stuff though. I'm trying to wait for it to let me go back into Minecraft. Please go. Let me. Ah! Oh, it actually I'm in now. I'm in it. Flip in Minecraft. Wait, industrial craft?
Stuff. And boy did they find some. Amongst the myriad of stuff they found were several mysterious structures located deep within China's Gobi Desert. Some are formed from strange shapes, and some illustrate obvious infrastructure. One of particular interest was a zigzag design etched into the rocky landscape. Interestingly, its lines were straight despite the curvature of the terrain. Though they puzzled conspiracy theorists for years, with ideas mostly surrounding aliens and secret facilities, many of these have recently been sussed out as calibration sites for China's spy satellites. Satellites would scan the sites to calibrate their apparatus. Number 8. The Atlantic Ocean Structure. This rather strange castle in the Atlantic Ocean has a rather famous name, Fort Boyard. This was its name more than 200 years before the famous TV show. It looks like a stone ship strangely anchored on the west coast of France, and was designed to guard the port of Rochefort with cannons with extra range. It's a big structure, 68 meters long, 31 meters wide, and 20 meters high, and it was incredibly hard to build. In the end, it was a military failure as construction started by Napoleon at the end of the 17th century and stalled until 1841, when cannons nearby had increased dramatically in range and the port's defenses had intensified. Fort Boyard was rendered virtually useless. It has always been a feat of engineering and architectural quirk though, and in the 1990s it was utilized as a location for shows and films, including game show Fort Boyard, a perilous adventure program where contestants had to compete to win prizes. Number 7. Massive Bosnian Spheres. Spheres are not easy to make with basic human tools, so spheres found naturally have always sparked debates. No more than this particularly enormous sphere found by a man randomly in a Bosnian forest. This enormous stone weighs over 30 tons and is between 2.4 and 3 meters wide, which is big for any stone, let alone a spherical one erratically placed in the woods. Intensifying the mystery, the stone quite obviously has a red metallic look, indicating it quite clearly has a high iron content. Archaeologist Sam Osmanagic, who had been researching the prehistoric stone sphere phenomenon for 15 years, believed it could be an indication of advanced ancient civilizations. It's an exciting theory, but the archaeologist has been doubted to the point of ridicule by others in the field, who said the prospect of an ancient civilization creating the stone was absurd. Instead, they suggest that the stone was formed through the process of concretion, where a rock is formed from secretions of mineral cement within sediments, which is perhaps no less miraculous. This process often forms spherical boulders, like the famed Kautu boulders in New Zealand. Interestingly though, there are examples of spherical stones that have been chiseled by ancient civilizations by hand, like the Costa Rica stones. Created between 500 and 1500 BC, these stones feature geoglyphs and other markings. Number 6. Copper mask found in ravine. The man who found this mask was out in a ravine in Minnesota hunting for fossils after heavy rainfall. Sediment had dislodged from the heavy rain, exposing fossils and something else which was looking right out at him as the man looked into the mud, this spooky green mask. Copper green in tone, it looks immediately aged, like it's been sent from a bygone era. After taking the mask to a science museum's curator, its mystery deepened as the curator revealed the malachite deposits and heavy weathering could indicate that it's very old, with suspicions raised over whether it could be a death mask for a burial. Analysis revealed that the mask was composed of 98% copper and around 1.5% silicon with around 0.7% manganese, which is a modern composition for metal, meaning it's likely not as old as once thought. In the end, it was professionally investigated by the curator from Minnesota's Science Museum, who discovered it was indeed a modern artifact, from as late as the 60s, probably an art or metalworks project. Well, it was interesting whilst it lasted. Number 5. Sailing stones. So picture yourself in the desert. There are no footsteps, no trace of any animal prints, just a few stones accompanying you in their tracks. But wait, stones don't have tracks. Sailing stones do though. They look like they've slid down a hill slowly, but it doesn't add up as there is no hill, just a flat desert basin. And it's not as if the stones sprout legs when you aren't looking and run across the desert. So what on earth is happening here? These rocks found in Death Valley were first noted in 1915, and they quickly piqued the interest of geologists worldwide. Throughout the 50s, a number of theories developed to explain how these stones made their way across distances of over 100 meters seemingly without any external force. The furthest tracks are actually a staggering 800 to 900 foot long. Geologists really had their work cut out explaining this. Some theories were incredibly complex, suggesting the stones covered their distance over centuries. Most saw that winds and moisture played roles, but then some stones weighed up to 300 kilograms. What was then discovered was that these stones covered large distances quite quickly, moving many meters in months. Let's cut to the chase. The rocks move due to the ice raft theory, where ice sheets that form during winter on the plain begin to break up on sunny days, bulldozing or floating the rocks when the wind blows. Some rocks could move 2 to 6 meters per minute. That's pretty quick for a rock. That's where the name sailing stones comes from. Number 4. Cornfield in an unusual location. Most of the time when we see a movie, we take each scene for granted. Cornfields and a vast vista of rolling mountains? Seems possible. Except it isn't very realistic. Interstellar's $165 million budget included finding the perfect cornfield Matthew McConaughey could drive through in the film. The problem is that the set they wanted doesn't really occur in real life. Most corn is grown in the American heartlands, but these areas don't offer the gentle rolling hills Christopher Nolan was looking for. That's why, with millions under his belt, he decided to opt for a real field in Calgary, Canada, a place nobody grows corn, as wind down the mountains kills it easily. They were successful, tremendously so in fact, as they grew a really good crop and could actually sell it for good money. It grew to a 500-acre farm in the end, and was awkwardly positioned quite obviously in the middle of nowhere. If you came across it out of context, then it would look incredibly strange, with just a farmhouse nearby and no modern farm infrastructure. Number 3. Abandoned bunker. In North Germany, a couple stumbled across some rather mysterious steel pipes that protruded from the ground. Instantly curious, they located a door which was easily pried open. Inside awaited a labyrinth of dark tunnels, and they tentatively set foot inside. Doors deep within the complex had been ripped of their gargantuan hinges, which was rather strange, but it allowed them to delve right into the complex. Further inside, there was graffiti adorning the darkened halls as the corridors twisted into the depths. Further rooms revealed strange machines, flooded rooms, and gloves and shoes. Its identity has been speculatively revealed by a poster on Imgur, who stated that it's most likely an old German or Soviet control bunker from the war, and that the pipes up top are simply for drawing in air. Internal machinery was designed to filter air and water for the occupants. Many people online also suggested that the doors were removed when the bunker was decommissioned to prevent people from getting trapped. Number 2. Giant fossilized armadillo. Just a humble distance from his home around 25 miles south of Argentina's capital Buenos Aires, a man noticed a rather strange silhouetted shape tucked up against a riverbank. It had a mysterious egg-like form, and the man's first incline was that it was some form of dinosaur egg. He called his wife immediately to inform her. It's an incredibly strange finding, as clearly no animal on Earth has any body part looking quite like this. Upon closer inspection, the egg-like form seemed more like an animal's shell, and that's exactly what it turned out to be. Not quite a dinosaur, but prehistoric. The shell most likely belonged to a giant armadillo named a glyptodon. The glyptodon was an ancient armadillo that measured 3.3 meters long by 1.5 meters high, but the weight is the most surprising, at an enormous 2,000 kilograms. Yup, 2 tons. It's incredibly well preserved because shells and fossils are often preserved on riverbanks, and as the bank erodes, they are gradually exposed. A fantastically rare finding just a humble distance from home, and a rather strange one at that. If you made it this far, I'm going to bet you enjoyed this video, so why not subscribe? We upload amazing, fact-filled list videos daily. Also, make sure to click that bell icon to stay updated, or you'll regret missing out on some amazing knowledge that could have filled your brain. Now let's get back to it. Number 1. Tank in a lake. Here's a fascinating tale of childhood wonder and an awesome discovery in the middle of the woods. In 1944 in Estonia, a young boy noticed tracks near Lake Kurtna-Matajjuri, which resembled tank tracks. Tank tracks leading to a lake is certainly odd, so he followed them and noticed nothing other than slight air bubbles bobbing on the lake's surface. Unable to do anything else, he put it to the back of his mind, but not forever. Nearly 50 years later, the now grown man told the story to a war history club, which was fascinated by his detailed recollection. In 2000, they led an investigation and discovered a full tank at a depth of 7 meters. The tank was found out to be a trophy tank, captured by the Germans in the battle at Sinamid. It was actually in remarkably good condition too. The T-34-76A tank, a Soviet build which is one of the most common and longest servicing tanks, had hundreds of shells on board and will be displayed at the War History Museum at the Gorodenko village near the river Narva. How amazing would it have been to return to that childhood memory, only to find it was indeed an awesome tank. Did you know what any of these were before I explained them? And have you ever discovered something amazing in the middle of nowhere? Let me know in the comments down below.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
It's taking a long time for it to load. Probably because of how many mods there are. Like 1,000. Yeah.